This is our review that me and Blake DeWitt did for our Contending Perspectives class in economics. We have the Austrians focusing on human action with imperfect knowledge. They don't believe in any equilibrium, position, or price. They believe that models are imperfect. Competition comes from new knowledge. The neoclassicals are the main model of economics in 2017. They have a rational approach with maximization of utility, an equilibrium, states with self-love being the primary motivator, along with rationality being the main assumptions behind why people do what they do. And that was a standard in 2017. Behavioralists use psychological insights of human behavior and apply it to economics. Valid arguments are strong arguments with the premise that it is true and coherent. So something that logically follows from the premise is a valid argument. If it doesn't logically follow from the premise, it is not a logical argument. So if we say that men are taller than women, and I say I'm a man, then I would be saying it would be a strong argument to say that I would therefore be taller than women. That would be a false premise, though. An invalid argument does not follow from the premise. So if we said that men are taller than women as our premise, and I said therefore I'm a man, therefore I'm smarter than women, that would not follow. That would be an invalid argument. A cogent argument is both valid with a true premise. So if the argument was that Blake's taller than me and I'm taller than Danielle, then Blake must be taller than Danielle. So that would be both a true premise and a valid premise. Deductive argument would be that what we can infer from logical rationale. So it is not inductive. An inductive would be based on direct observation. So inductive would be if I actually saw that Blake purchased new pants. If I watched him do it, then that would be inductive knowledge. If I saw the receipt that he bought the pants, that would be inductive knowledge. If I looked at his pants and saw that they were very clean and new looking and had a tag on them, that would be deductive knowledge because I didn't directly observe that he had bought the pants. There was no direct evidence of that. So observational data goes into inductive reasoning. So that brings us to the traditionalist versus revisionist views of science and economics as a science. So Kuhn, Popper, and Friedman were all positivist revisionists. So Kuhn said that if something is wrong with the theory, we have data that contradicts it. We don't necessarily need to throw the whole theory out. Just we need to modify it that makes our theory better. Popper said that deductive reasoning is what matters. We can't be hanged up on the inductive reasoning as far as the traditionalist view of science because we can't possibly observe everything or run experiments to observe everything directly. So we have to employ deductive reasoning. Friedman was actually part of this too, even though he's more known for the monetarist school and theory of inflation. MV equals PY. Money supply times velocity equals the price and the products that we have. So that brings us to positive economics versus normative economics. So our positive economics are objective, fact-based. They observe facts, cause, and effect relationships. So when they're positivist revisionists, that means they're still looking at facts and data. And normative economics is opinion-based, non-falsifiable, subjective. So Austrians and some other schools of economics can be criticized because they are normative. And public choice has to do with what?
Public choice. We haven't looked that up.
We didn't write it down, but you did look it up.
Yeah, I looked it up, man, but it's been a fucking tired day. Skip it and then go back.
Okay. So we have market failures are imperfect results resulting from lack of perfect information.
Using tools.
So public choice is what?
Public choice theory refers to the use of economic tools to deal with the traditional problems of political science, or like using tools to solve problems.
So public choice would be like, all right, we have a problem with pollution, so what economics can we use to come up with policies to fix pollution problems, or fix the schooling problems and whatnot? Okay. So that has to do with applying economics to public theory. So our going back to market failures are causes of imperfect information, and some of the proposed remedies would be things like direct interventions, like a Pigou tax, or the Coase theorem, which was that if we have perfect property rights and perfect information, that these things will solve each other on their own better than the government can solve them. That brings us to Coase, who himself said that if property rights and information were perfect, then we wouldn't need government intervention. He's an institutionalist, which means he believes that institutions arise to deal with the problem of transactions costs. They arise spontaneously. Coase would say that in a perfect world, all you need to do is enforce property rights, and things will solve themselves the best way they possibly can. But in the real world, we have transactions costs. So the cost of having a lawyer draft a contract, the cost of taking people to court, don't include just the fees and stuff. It would be the time involved in building a case. It'd be the effort to go and go and present your case in a court of law. Just traveling to go negotiate with somebody would be part of a transaction cost, and these would be things that would be the costs of even trying to do business, or transactions costs. And so we come up with institutions, which are rules designed to limit what we can and can't do in order to reduce transactions costs. That's the only reason institutions come about, according to institutionalists. And so Coase was like a proto-institutionalist. This other guy, Doug North, said that institutions reduce transactions costs and improve adaptive efficiency in our economy. So he built on Coase's work. The social costs are costs that are not captured by transaction, pollution and noise and such. So if I burn coal to make electricity for Blake pays for my electricity that I pay for him, but neither one of us are paying the cost of the polluted air, then that would be a social cost. The private cost would be the cost of the coal and the cost of him paying for the electricity, my profit. Social costs. Subsidies and taxes were on the study list. We're econ students. We know what subsidies and taxes are and their effects. Free will is a concept that there's something called economic determinism, which is a school that suggests that whatever your circumstances are will determine what choices you make. That kind of negates the whole philosophical concept of free will, and we don't necessarily like that. So, there is this combatalist was a term that she had on her review slide. We couldn't find that at all, not anywhere in our notes or
0 results on Google.
Yeah, so we saw something called compatibilists, which believe that determinism and free will are not, even though they seem like they would be directly
they don't contradict
each other. There is room in that determinism and the for free will, and that's the difference between what we see in models and the real world, is what goes on with that. Economic rationality is the maximization of subjective utility and the neoclassical model, and it basically means that we know what we like best, and therefore we will always naturally come to the best outcome without any kind of intervention, simply because I know what's best for me right up to the very penny. My supplier, who'd be Blake, knows what's best for him up to the very penny, and right where that supply meets demand is going to be the perfect price where everything is as good as it possibly can be. The resources cannot be allocated any more efficiently than that. So Danny Roderick is an economist who argued that that models are the key to scientific progress in economics. You can't have a perfect model. What's up, brother?
Is this the room we're meeting?
No, they're meeting in 4009, which is
my
a
bad.
couple of rooms away. We met here earlier. You could come in if you want, but we're about to leave.
Yeah, we're about to leave. We already just filled out the
Yeah.
review on the board.
So, this is not a word.
Compatibilists?
Compatibilists, yeah, that's a typo.
You don't say.
We decided that it was compatibilists is what she meant. Is what we thought. Schiller and Schiller shared the Nobel Prize. They're behavioral economists. They shared the Nobel Prize with two other economists who definitely had differing views. Fama was one of them. So that was in 2013, so a lot of people have used that to bash economics. But they have competing models with different results. So that kind of goes with what Danny Roderick had to say, is that different models will shed light on different things. And having a collection of useful models is going to be the key to success. And Doug North, like I said before, was an institutionalist. And that reduces the transaction costs for institutions. Schiller and Schiller are behavioral economists, and they won the Nobel Prize. So they believe that they're some of the people that are using the psychological insights
We're gonna wipe this
of human
clean, too,
behavior
so all the little kids
to
can
apply to econ.
get access to it.
Yeah.